it's against CE. If Roll20 draws or loses against CE, it's a Roll20 SPT matchup. But if Roll20 beats CE later today, they get to face BTG, and they will pit China #1 and 2 against each other. So Roll20 still has a lot of influence, whereas SPT now, it doesn't really matter for SPT if they win or lose, but for Fnatic, they need to win in order to avoid KSV.
And after that loss, we do see SPT end up committing to first pick, whereas Fnatic now taking us to map selection of Infernal Shrines. I'm expecting to see another cookie-cutter composition out of Fnatic here for Game 2. What I mean by that is the exact same thing we saw of the last, where it's just what's a composition that has, you know, kind of maybe unique characteristics or are generally the playstyle you would assume out of Fnatic.
Clear win condition.
Yeah, and just play it very, very safe here, especially after that performance against SPT in Game 1, because it was a different playstyle, but it was actually extremely dominant.
Yeah, and it's not a cheese because it has so many options, but arguably Fnatic did not play Cursed Hollow right, probably, and I think they would be the first to admit that in the last few minutes. When it comes to a normal use of bosses, I mean, you get a boss against a Half-Life keep and you don't secure a keep. You get a second boss, you don't secure the core, you don't secure a keep. You get a curse, you don't secure a keep. This is technically anti-Cursed Hollow style, but because they ran the comp that they did, they had more possibilities than a regular comp would have had.
Yeah.
So very clear win condition. They saw it through to the end. Major props and respect to them in that regard. And I agree with you. They could do that again if they have a strat like that on Infernal Shrines here.
SPT is going to kick it off with another first pick ETC like we saw into the last draft. And the Anubarak ban coming out from them.
I mean, they could do it the other way around, except SPT has way more experience and proficiency with ETC than with Anubarak.
This is one of those cases, though, considering the map, even though this was the pick order of the last game, I would have much rather see them, if they're going to commit to that high warrior choke of some kind, maybe ban out the ETC and pick up the Arthas for themselves instead. Just anything with a bit more focus into the wave clear. It is, again, objectively, it seems like ETC is the argument of he is the go-to, but he just doesn't seem to be packing the punch in a lot of these games here, especially compared to that Anubarak Arthas. And so having the Arthas accenting the shrine control, you know Greyman's going to be picked up on the other side, not only because of his power, but this is debatably one of his 2 best maps.
Drafts looking very similar so far. Fnatic opting with Rhaegar over Dahaka compared to the previous game. SPT now has that option of going into Arthas again. And also, if they don't pick up Vala like they did last draft, they'll be with a tertiary ranged assassin. And it's pretty much agreed right now that Greyman and Vala are the most valuable ones because they have mobility, burst, sustained damage.
What do we see SPT pick here? Are they going to focus on globals or shrine control? Looks a little bit more like shrine control there with Lucio and Sonya. Sonya, man, she has been just gone throughout GCWC.
Yeah.
Very low pickup rate.
It's the one thing that I don't fully get from this event.
I agree with you. I think she has struggled a little bit. Like, she has dropped off, but particularly with how many Shrine games we have had, that she hasn't shown up on a map where she does accent the map objective as well. I've been surprised because, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, there are some changes that I can see maybe moving away from her, but she still has Poison Spear. She still chunks a majority of the squishies in the game very, very quickly, especially that of Lucio.
Still 2 valid heroics, same as ETC.
And so we'll see what work SPT is going to make happen there with the Sonya. Fnatic banning out the Vala, as we talked about after having the Greymane for themselves. Not a surprise there. I do like the fact that we got that Rhaegar from Fnatic higher up, though, considering the shrine control necessary with this, or necessary on this map.
Yeah. SPT removed Genji just now in the 2nd pick slot. It's not what I would do, knowing what we know about Quacknix, who has been a bit sick recently. I would much rather have Quacknix on a difficult hero like that than something generic like Greymane or Falstad.
I would rather him on Falstad if after watching, you know, the one performance. I feel like if anybody's looking at the weak point, after the Dragonshire game being sent back, I mean, that isn't. Look at all of his false set in this tournament. It very much was an outlier
he played
game.
It so well just now.
Yeah.
And, you know, it could be fully over.
But I'm just saying, if I was immediately going to go like, what's the weak point? I'd be like, put him on the false stat. Well, we watch one team punish it. We can be the one to punish it too.
I think he'll never have a game like that again.
You're probably right.
Probably.
With the Dahaka banned by SPT, where do we expect Fnatic to go? It's going to pull away a little bit of the generic laning situation. This is interesting. I actually don't know how I feel about the Dahaka ban. It does show to me SPT has full intent on winning Shrine, and that is a lot of what their composition is going to do. Just because Sonya does pretty well into the 1v1 of Dahaka, but when you get rid of it, you're so concerned about globals that you're just going to go, everything's going to make the rotation down to the Shrine itself, and that is where we're going to kind of make sure we win. And that is it's a realistic strategy, 3 to 4 Shrine phases deep. You need to be considering what Shrine Phase 1 and 2 look like and how Fnatic is going to out-pressure the map, because if we take a minute to kind of reel it right back to the last game, we saw the exact same kind of, you know, it spawns on one half of the map. Fnatic gives it up, goes, we're going to pressure the top half of the map, and it's not like this objective is that much more powerful than a Tribute.
Yeah, correct. I mean, it is more powerful because a Tribute just looks at you and the Punisher jumps on you, but they're really not that strong.
At least when it comes to how much you gain after it, right? Like, the Punisher's effective at bringing team fights, but how often can you get the siege afterwards? Because his health pool is low enough. He's taking 3 turrets at this stage of the game. You aren't usually finding yourself that front wall beforehand. But we're going to see Mene on a Kel'Thas.
If I were SPT, I would grab Stukov to deny it. And maybe something like Liming. Or, no. Liming is okay against Arthas, not great on Shrines, though. What mage would be good?
I actually would
Chromie. You get the silencing arm and the slowing sands. No.
I'm going to be honest. This is one of those moments where in a draft I would like to see you kind of go down the rabbit hole. Particularly, I want a Falstad. It's going to be Jaina, so it's down the rabbit hole a little bit, but maybe not in the area that I want. I'm expecting this to be a. Ooh, maybe not yet.
You don't think Stukov?
To go with Stukov as the last pick for SPT?
No, for Fnatic now. It doesn't have to be.
I think Stukov actually probably has the biggest impact on that Shrine control itself, and it's going to be really problematic. The synergy with the Arthas and Kel'Thas is very much real. Probably. I think that's fair to say. If they don't go in the into the Stukov avenue, I mean, what's left?
Well, it can be like
solo support Rhaegar, I feel like, and just transferring into like something like a Tyrael or a Falstad with Gust in particular.
Bad Benny on Tyrael or something.
The reason I talk about Falstad and Tyrael, there is a situation where, depending on who this last pick is, that SPT can just flex into a leap and kill Kel'Thas as fast as possible, as frequent as possible. It's not a
Yeah, that's true. And
overly
you think
common
protects?
It's mainly because anytime you can gust, anything to stop the momentum of the team fight in the way that you want. And Uther would be great at stopping that. So I think the pickup there for Fnatic makes a lot of sense. Versus the Stukov, he's very, very vulnerable to it. And that's why I was hoping to see SPT actually, rather than going with the Jaina, pick up the false set so you remove the gust opportunity if you wanted, and you can just hinterlands if you want to get real wild with it.
That was one way of dealing with it. There's many ways to deal with certain problems, like you can see them coming the leap, like you say, you can gust them away.
I will always support a adjustment into the middle of the draft if my opponents pick like huge holes within like certain areas, right? The Uther final pickup, it didn't come to my head right at the beginning, and then now seeing it, I'm just going like, yeah,
so
this is no longer an option.
Yeah.
But let's just say that, you know, maybe you have that lapse of judgment. Absolutely adore when teams are willing to kind of go in that area. It's honestly a little bit less common than normally I would hope, because most teams are just like, you know, play the meta, stick to the norm, and not willing to kind of risk it, because it's so easy. Typically, if you lose those games, I mean, how do you ask yourself, what did we do wrong? You just go, we picked the wild heroics, dude. That was it. We just didn't pick meta.
Yeah.
But the Jaina synergy with Lucio, and more importantly, Sonya, is going to be maybe problematic for Fnatic. Sonya and Jaina on this map in particular, Inferno Shrines, was a very, very common thing long, long, long ago.
Sonya,
the two together is very problematic. It's the, I mean, legitimate best hero with Sonya on kill potential and enabling her to just smash face because you're slowing everyone so very quick. Throw down a welly, no one's surviving the Sonya chase.
A what?
A welly.
Water Ellie?
It's a welly.
A welly.
You've never heard that?
That's ridiculous.
You got to kill the welly. That's like the first thing you do when it spawns.
Yeah, sure.
Fnatic's going to be looking to kill the welly. Quacknix on Greymane. Arthas played by Breeze. Kel'Thas played by Mene. Smex on that Uther. And I forgot who we had on to Rhaegar, so I'm a terrible
Probably Bad
human being.
Benny?
Yeah, Bad Benny. That's a good call.
And here on the right, Soap on Sonya, Melody C on Lucio, Misaka on ETC, Chen Xiao on Jaina, and ZZH on Karazim. You don't think it's going to be Ruffle Frost?
Is that now we just call everything a little bit of Ruffle Frost?
Ruffle Frost.
I would hope not in this type of situation, because you do have that double support. If you, and both are good anti-burst, if you commit to the singular one-shot, one-kill team fight, you are very unlikely to be able to win. I
would like to see Ring of Frost.
Do you just don't like Welly or what?
Yeah, it dies too easily.
A lot of pressure on Misaka.
Unlike ETC, apparently. Melody C! He really wanted that kill. Pays for it.
First blood here for Fnatic. It's going to give them a little bit of an advantage on that Shrine Control kill. Thos has already made the transition down. SPT will be playing the chase game, and this is great zoning here. Yeah. Just because that one kill that they were able to get onto SPT, they know that they do not have the ability to meet the wave clear and rotation. Chen Xiao was able to make it down and not lose too many minions, but I like to see that aggression coming out from Fnatic.
Yeah, I love that. Anytime teams do that, onto with the Spider Queen on this map, it's like, hey, we got one person more. Why should we let you rotate for free on the highway? Take that back alley back there. That takes way longer.
Benny gets booped out and gets a power slide. Just the spear is not there and able to connect for Soap. Something that if we do see the poison spear pick up, that you would like to not see happen, because it is about 50% of her damage, at least pre-Wrath of the Berserker. Quacknix caught out after the power slide. He got knocked out, or knocked back, but Mene's there with a gravity left to zone off.
Chain Bomb actually hits 3 people. I believe that was a Chain Bomb on a minion that then spread to the rest. One cool thing you can do as Kel'Thas is when you put a Chain Bomb on anything, either a hero or a minion, that will instantly die from the initial front-loaded damage, it will explode and instantly spread the Chain Bomb, removing the ability of the other team to walk away in those 3 seconds that part is normally on fire, and you get the instant spread. It's really nice. For example, that Archer minion there, very low on HP. If you Chain Bomb that, it'll be an instant spread to everyone around it. And I'm sure Mena knows this and will use it.
Bad Benny and Soap were in a bit of a quarrel here on top. Both teams got near dead even. Skeletal Defenders. Power Slide, though, goes on to Rhaegar. The knockback. Jaina gets a bit of damage, but the nice rotation there. Smack's trying to body block out along with Breeze, making sure no Ice Lance able to make it through, get value out of that passive. But SPT try and use the fact that they push Fnatic back to make sure that Soap gets a lot more of these Skeletal Defenders. And it looks like Fnatic has accepted that this is not going to be their first Shrine. And to be honest, judging by the draft decisions on the side of SPT, I wish I could say that it wasn't expected because of so much being committed to that and so little into the macro front. Fnatic should do this not only for this Shrine phase, but also the next one.
Right. And what about the third?
Then they can consider making the transition, but at that point, to be honest, I expect them to be about 2 levels up because of how dominant they have managed to be over this first Shrine phase. When you give up this, you look for, like, it's a win if you got a half-level advantage, I would say.
Nice by SPT. Getting that camp, that was pretty cool.
Actually, this is really good. The
Very
fact that they
impactful.
lost themselves the Lucio, but they still have the Punisher on top, and now they can get split pressure down below. Yeah. Because normally you commit the 5-man up onto top, and you're just kind of like, well, we aren't able to get too much.
Team fight team,
yeah.
Push in, but yeah, that was really cool getting that Impaler. Also, Fnatic missed a bit of the XP mid lane. SPT doing a decent job of coming back, but it's true. ETC, Karazim, Lucio, poor wave clear. Therefore, SPT is more reliant on the objective to try and keep even. So to see them recognize that as they are about to get the Punisher, to go to the other lanes where they know Fnatic will be doing, you know, things, to take those things away, like that Impaler camp at the bottom, is really heads up by SPT.
Big question on my mind is going to be, what is Uther 7? Do we go with Hand of Protection, or is it going to be Guardian of the Ancient King?
I think you hold it until you see Ring of Frost.
I would take Guardian, just because that way you can enforce maybe what would be a bad heroic choice and into this composition when I have a double support. It's a situation to where I don't really feel like you need the double cleanse. If you had any other support, I'd say I'd think about it. But if somehow Ring of Frost is the choice in this composition, and it's followed up it's a follow-up to a power slide, one Frisbee. and the team fight's over. The
Yeah.
disengage alone is just going to just say no. And that is another argument that I hope to see we go to the Welly rather than the Ring of Frost.
So Guardian of Ancient Kings, to those who may not know, when you hit it on someone that's currently rooted or stunned, they get a massive armor spike. When you hit any of your heals as Uther. Oh, nice rotation here. Really cool aggression coming out of SPT. Cleanse comes out, but Cleanse cannot protect against damage. SPT get a kill on Mene. Quacknix as well.
Yeah,
Nice
body
job.
blast onto Benny. Ooh, not able to keep it up long enough to secure another kill, but great aggression out of SPT.
Oh, you know, I feel like this has been missing so much
Yeah.
from SPT in this whole tournament.
It's just Jaina. That's the answer. Give him the early game kill potential on the range assassin. Chen Xiao's like, we got this. Bring the fight.
It feels so good to see SPT coming into their own now and playing like this, getting kills like this, doing these 5-man engages.
But it's not over yet here.
Yeah.
It's, again, one of those situations where they get that momentum into their favor, but they cannot let go of the driver's seat here once they find themselves in it. Nice little steal there from Mene over the wall with that flame strike. Karzim is keeping the pressure up towards top, which I feel like is going to hurt the team fight choice if SPT ends up getting one down below, not having that secondary support, because it's not like his siege is going to be too effective, and the gank is there from Bad Benny. Quacknix bait is real.
Bad Benny actually there to turn around. They don't have the kill potential together on Karazim, except if Karazim grossly misplayed. Karazim is still getting experience, so it was a fair try. Good job by CZH. In comes Misaka. Earth Ally.
Go.
Earth Ally preventing a lot of the damage of Greymane. Cleanse comes out. It's a 1-minute cooldown.
Mene.
Ooh.
Everybody's up here. It's a party.
Yeah. And Breeze knows. He saw Chen Xiao.
Punisher is going to siege with Soap down below. Brooke will be picked up a fraction of a second in favor of SPT. What do we see? What is the 10, Jaina? It is Ring of Frost.
Ring of Frost comes out. Stage dive as well.
So it's very, very important that we see...
And Wrath, not Leap.
Oh, well, I mean, once you see the Uther, if you leap, it is it's a bad choice.
You're like healing your opponent by leaping.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, it's one of those, like, if they pick like somebody who can't save the Kel'Thas and the Rhaegar, but once we see that Uther, it's like, okay, back to standard here. But the fact that this Ring of Frost is going to be the choice, the biggest thing is it cannot be a follow-up to Misaka in particular on that ETC. If we see the power slide and there is a brilliant or proper response from Uther, it's just going to be, here's a huge armor spike, and that Ring of Frost one-shot is going to be an AoE damage mitigation for everyone.
Yeah. Ah, the boombox actually scouting, seeing Mene there. Stage dive on Mene.
Power slide through.
No Ring of Frost. Very good zoning by Breeze. Chasing Jaina. She uses Ring of Frost in the solo defense against Arthas.
Ancestral Healing comes out a little bit too late, and you could tell that was miscommunication as there was still a Divine Shield up. And that's going to be given over to Greymane. Palm popped a little bit too early. The flask is used, but Smex gets turned on. Ghost form is here, and so he's got a couple of heals, but that did not go how Fnatic planned whatsoever.
This was such a cool team fight. I would like to see it twice more with double camera.
Starting with the Arthas, I think that's the biggest thing to highlight. When you were sitting there going like, where's that ring going out? It's solely because of the zoning done by Arthas, getting the pressure up and making sure that she can't hit what was going to be a game-changing Ring of Frost.
Yeah, 100% correct choice. It was the most accurate portrayal of a tactical feat by Breeze ever.
Yeah.
The fact that it was in a 2v1, getting slowed by Jaina, means that his slow doesn't have positive mobility for him. And very good play by Chen Xiao to actually say, like, yeah, I'm willing to use this giant cooldown on a single target. Got Arthas to Breeze down. Unfortunately for Fnatic, like you said, the heroic synergy overlap with the Ancestral and the Divine Shield meant they still lost several members under that fort. But again, a very cool fight by SPT.
Gravity Lapse is going to hit just the tip there. Another kill for Fnatic.
One of the least painful losses for SPT, as stage dive means ETC will be back on the map faster if he needs to.
So, now knowing, what we were talking about over the draft, the fact that SPT is winning this game by a talent tier and they're winning structurally, I feel like with the teamfight capabilities they have, I feel like they've got a really good chance here in this game. I am still concerned a little bit with the power slide into the ring and how that's going to work with Uther, but if the last teamfight indicates anything here, the struggle of communication between Smex and Bad Benny is going to be maybe too problematic over this teamfight. 13 skeletal defenders for SPT, only a 4 skeletal defender deficit.
SPT still has that talent lead. Fnatic needs to watch out. And also Fnatic has had some amazing comebacks late game against the likes of Roll20. They are very good late game when it matters if they don't fall too far behind. So it is not necessary for them to become too insecure about that. They don't contest the shrine, they pull back. They're not even clearing too much. They don't want to give any opportunities.
Love the decision making out of SPT in this situation.
Yeah.
They can just walk away, make sure that they get any pressure elsewhere on the map where they want, maybe dabble up towards top if they show any kind of concern. They can assume Fnatic has started the Shaman camp as there really is nothing else on the map for them to do.
And I think this is the only map where the mercenary camps do not disappear during the taking of the objective. So it is not a beacon in the night that Fnatic would be doing this, but it's just obvious.
Punisher leaps, but nobody there for too much follow-up. ETC still on top. He has stage dive if they want to bring this fight down, but I would expect more of a rotation up towards mid rather than trying to force a fight. Or excuse me, rotation up towards top rather than trying to force a fight on mid for SPT. And it looks like they're going to agree, make the rotation up here after mid keep is clear, or mid fort clear. Now Fnatic finds themselves what should be with no keeps. Unless somehow Breeze and Mene can make the rotation in time, and Fnatic is going to respond to this. They do not want to give this up for free.
Yeah, and the SPT is at the risk of overstaying.
Oh.
Melody C saw this rotation coming for a while already with Boombox. Actually, perfect disengage by SPT, but it was a bit risky, wasn't it?
It was one of those situations where it's like, well, if you don't commit, it might cost you a little bit too much time. It mainly because I wasn't appreciating, you know, the Lucio factor in this situation, the mobility gained for SPT, but they do not get the full art immediately, but they get it a little bit later here, even get the invade down in this camp, and Fnatic is just, you know, trailing SPT around this map. This is so awesome to see out of SPT, being so active onto the map and forcing problems rather than hoping to see them live.
Yeah, and it shows such self-respect too. SPT, you know, they're already in bottom 4, but to take a map here clearly means much to them. They bring out, and I think part of it is they lost the pressure, you know, in playing in this group, and now they're allowing themselves to be themselves, and they are beautiful, and it's wonderful to behold them.
They are beautiful. Yes, they are.
SPT making all the right moves.
Full a level and a half over Fnatic. And with the 16 talents here, they need a little bit more than, you know, they've got to keep up that momentum that they've been able to achieve. Where do they decide to push that momentum? It looks like it's going to be over middle for now. I
would say with 3 to 4 Impalers there, the traditional play would be to just do a 5-man push, don't you think?
I would like I would like to see a 5-man pressure, especially now that they know the shrine. I can't double check the Shaman camp timing, but I don't think either team's going to be able to wait for that.
This hurts, losing this camp like this. If you do a 5-man push mid, you're getting additional value bottom with the Impalers there, and you're using your talent lead to guarantee a fight rather than letting your opponent catch up. It's the biggest gap in the world from 16 to 20. For a very long time after 16 is reached for the opponent's team, you no longer have a talent lead. This was the final best moment for SPT to have a lopsided fight.
But if they have enough wave clear onto the shrine, which they have, Sonya making the rotation, Jaina, if she transfers out, I feel like this is a little bit too many resources not committed to the shrine. They're worried about the defense of Fnatic on top, but if Fnatic baits them out, gets that 16, they might be able to force down. But there are not enough waves pushing against them, so it looks like SPT should be able to get the shrine.
16 is very close. Fnatic can push out one more wave.
Such a clever decision making from Fnatic, and if they somehow get the zone or force this fight before this is consumed, I would just be like, anyone who wants to know what to make happen over on Infernal Shrines, take a note out of what Fnatic just did. It's not enough to push them off, but they do stall out a couple of seconds and, more importantly, get themselves 16.
Yeah, Fnatic was dealing with probabilities here constantly. The probability of SPT staying at the bottom shrine, allowing them a top push. The probability of SPT leaving too few people down there, being lax in their scouting. But Melody C on Lucio there tracked Fnatic every step of the way. Now the Punisher's going to get baited over the wall, and there is still a wall. It will get blown up pretty fast. That was Blizzard, big cooldown. Now the goal for SPT is a keep and a disengage. Will Fnatic force before the Punisher is down?
Stage dive. No power slide in. Half keep health. We got Punisher leap up in 2.
That's it. That's a keep. SPT pullback. One more Frostbolt. One more Lucio auto attack. SPT leaves. Movement speed of Lucio key here.
if SPT finds themselves not able to escape this situation, I would like to see them try and force the turn, but they are going to make that happen. I thought Breeze maybe
It's the Lucio effect.
Yeah, the Lucio effect is going to be real, but we saw ETC separate, and I thought maybe a Death Coil opportunity to get the dismount. Not going to be there, and Fnatic is now panicked. They have to get a fight under that 20 timer that SPT has hung over their head, and they don't even have a keep down below. And when you look at Fnatic's comps that they normally draft or the playstyle in the past, especially when they have those globals, you go, they're down a keep, it doesn't hurt them that much. Somebody can go back to the core and clear. They have somebody can go back to the core and clear. It is their only damage dealer, really. With their main shrine control, one of the two has got to make the transition back, and it really sets apart or sets them back into the team fight at other parts of the map here.
Yeah, it's going to be Greymane or Rhaegar anytime to make that rotation.
But that puts a lot of responsibility on SPT's shoulders, because there may be that chance to where Fnatic can try and force that fight, and especially over that next shrine. And when that happens, they need to make sure that this bottom lane is prepped to be a problem. We saw the last shrine be on bottom, which we know it has to be a 50-50 between mid and top. Bottom objectives aren't that strong.
Delay this Impaler?
And that was exactly kind of what I was hinting towards, is finding a way to make this bottom lane a problem when it matters, not when it doesn't matter. Because otherwise, you set it up, Fnatic waits until they know the shrine is up, and then they overcommit to the clear.
Yeah, and right now, SPT probably took that camp a little bit too early.
And then there's nothing really for Fnatic to be afraid about.
Fnatic is doing the counterintuitive thing, though. They're looking for a fight rather than going for the immediate clear. They will miss their CC chain. Now Fnatic has to pull back. Still, SPT doesn't want to fight. But yeah, look at that Impaler count. It's been dealt with.
It has been dealt with, and
not punished. And SPT, you know, this is again one of those things where it's like, you know, it's the safe thing. You get the camp, you leave, but it's not safe because it doesn't secure the win as well.
I'm just glad I have you up here to say that, because I feel like I've said that long enough to the point where I've just been like, you know what? Nope, this is the safe call. You are right. Sitting back.
At least SPT had a secondary option. Oh, this is very smart by Fnatic. They don't want to let level 20 happen. They're corralling Fnatic. They're corralling SPT into a corner.
Oh, and Misaka's caught out, but the Cursed Bullet actually did not land. Neither did the Gravity Lapse. And because, oh my gosh, SPT's been able to recollect themselves. They can take this fight.
Everything misses due to the move speed of Melody C.
They can take it.
Yeah. It's a good fight. Cooldowns are down for Fnatic.
A lot of damage onto Arthas, forces the Divine Shield. Ring of Frost does not land on anybody. Neither does the stage dive. Arthas taking a lot of damage. The Breeze out too far. He is going to be the first to drop. SPT eats a 3-man Gravity Lapse, but the sound barrier response is there, and Soap is ready to smash the faces of Fnatic on that Sonya. Looks like Smex is going to be that victim, as he is dead.
Really good fight by SPT, recognizing the cooldowns being used by Fnatic, being willing to take a 19.8 fight versus 18. Normally, that can be a big mistake, but SPT was counting cooldowns. They knew Cursed Bullet, Gravity Lapse, the positioning, the pressure on the map. They took the fight. One kill would net them level 20. They've got it, and now, honestly, SPT needs to be moving for the core. They can, they don't actually have to, but they can.
This is one of those tough questions, because if they do not end up making the rotation towards the core here, nor do they make the key play, so they're going to go back and they're going to pick up this Punisher.
Yeah, it's a Punisher and mid-keep.
It's a Punisher and mid-keep, but it's a lot of free experience, and more importantly, it's a window of maybe we have our opponent take a 20 fight that we will not be able to... that we may not win. Because if you look at how panicked Fnatic was to enforce a fight pre-20, it shows that they felt like that could be the end point, that they would not be able to come back from. But by doing this, you buy enough experience available on the map over that window to where 20 will be here, and Fnatic got a second life.
But look at this. This is Fnatic's opinion of their ability to win the game after giving away Punisher and losing mid-keep. They think that is not possible.
Time is on the side of SPT here, though. As long as they can try and stall out, even giving up the Punisher is in their best interest, because Fnatic can't push with it even if they get it. Look at that Ring of Frost going down. It draws a Divine Shield onto Men. It keeps him alive, but Bad Benny out a little bit too far. Unable to get the Ancestral. We see this Uther dive down, but SPT has opened this fight up way too quickly here. Look at that palm. That was just disgusting.
Sick plays by SPT with Ring of Frost.
That's game.
Yeah.
They did it.
Beautiful play, beautiful fight by SPT. It was always going to be difficult, this one, for Fnatic, but clearly they were unwilling to accept the alternative, which was Mortar Punisher, level 20 plus, on mid-keep. There will be nothing left. Fnatic took the fight, SPT held their own in great team fighting, great synergy, in a level of play that we have not yet seen from SPT. in the Gold Club World Championship.
I think you nailed nailed it perfectly, right on the head. When you were talking about the lack of pressure, somewhere a new version of SPT just came out of nowhere and just dominated Fnatic on map number 2. I don't have words.
SPT is no longer so pressured team. They are now super perfect team.
You're way too good with these. That's the second one of the day.
And Fnatic, this is a big deal for Fnatic. As much as for SPT, they will probably be 6th, 7th and face probably Roll 20. You know what this does to Fnatic? If you just tuned in, ladies and gentlemen, let us paint you the picture one more time. Fnatic was at 8 points, Dignitas 8 points, Ballistics 9, and KSV 11. Now, Dignitas will face BTG, and that should be a 2-0, so there'll be 10 points. Fnatic now is 9, so Fnatic is under Dignitas. Already, Ballistics at 9, so Fnatic is guaranteed 4th place in the group stage. That means they will meet the #1 team in the winner bracket knockout phase, which will probably be KSV.
And if it's not?
If it's not, it's Ballistics.
Exactly.
Who today will 2-0 KSV. You know, that's the only way they can overtake.
Yeah.
And that means Ballistics is a scary one.
So either way, you have to deal with either KSV or the team that managed to somehow 2-0 KSV.
And that have already 2-0'd Fnatic in the group stage.
That.
Even though Fnatic isn't happy with the game and stuff, you know, they felt they could do better, but still, it happened.
And it's Jaina, of all the hero picks, to be the one to catch them off. It's the second Jaina we've gotten of the tournament. Last time, not nearly as effective into that last game.
Yeah.
But that was so well done. You know, the first Shrine phase, a full level advantage in favor of Fnatic. They were getting picks everywhere onto the map.
Yeah, it looked like business as usual.
But then the rotation, the minute there was a rotation from SPT not committing to that top Punisher and making plays down on the bottom, they find themselves staggered death after staggered death.
It all started with that engage at the Fallen Bruiser top left.
Yeah.
Or maybe was it earlier? But it's those kind of... I think that was the first or second move that showed that this is a different SPT suddenly.
Yeah, I feel like it was the rotation down below. And then, yeah, immediately after, as we saw into the mid-game, the Misaka MVP of that last game, power slide in. Chen Xiao on the back line with Jaina, came in, got the damage. And then that was the moment where we're like, wait a minute. They're forcing fights that maybe they don't have to, and they don't have a big enough advantage. And that is what we've been hoping to see from SPT.
Yeah, and those are the most unpredictable.
Yeah.
They stopped playing textbook, doing 5-man weird engages. You know, MVP here goes to Misaka, but I think Melody C on his Lucio scouting, the way that he allowed the team to stay a few seconds longer due to the speed boost, but just the way that he used Boombox, the level 7 talent, and scouted and dismounted people. It was so good. Sound barriers with discipline, kept until the very moment where they were absolutely needed, like in that top left fight over the top keep. Really cool play by SPT.
Yeah.
And Roll 20, better watch out.
At this point, I feel like that a lot of the power rings should shift depending on if this has been just like a one-time thing here for SPT. I'm just assuming maybe it's not going to be the case. I feel like a lot of the tournament becomes a lot different.
You know, the problem is now SPT has pressure again, because the next match could see them eliminated. So they need to mind trick themselves into thinking that it's just like this. If you can remain in this place, that's a beautiful place to be at. Where you think neither of the future nor the past, you're just living inside the game, having fun, and doing things that suit you, like Jaina apparently.
That is just amazing. And I agree with you. Trying to find a way to make sure, because this should build pressure. It seems like the natural instinct, at least, right? Because suddenly you feel like not only have you made an impact in what is going to be the top half of the bracket, but you also just did what nobody kind of gave you credit to be able to make happen, maybe even yourself, depending on how down on yourself and the results that you've had through this tournament. Either way, that is it for us here with Fnatic versus SPT.
The next match is going to be very cool. It's going to be Ballistics versus KSV. If Ballistics wins 2-0, they will take first in the group and face Fnatic. All to play for still. Coming up right after this break.